Bum, ba, ba, bum,
Bum,
bum, ba, 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 ba,
bum,
ba, ba, ba.
bum, bum.
Guilty.
Kilted balls.
I lost you for a second there. You were singing too loud.
I was singing super loud. And
That's awesome.
I totally messed you up.
I was like, I don't hear him.
Oh man, maybe I was too
That's gonna.
loud.
It's probably gonna be a really good one this time.
Oh my gosh, it'll probably be
Even
the
better.
best.
Hmm.
I had somebody recently was like, I didn't know you could sing. And I'm like, have you not heard my opening for Kilted Balls every time?
Hmm.
Like amazing.
Kidding. Who is that? Your special drink?
So today, for watching the Lions game, I was showing off my special drink. And then my buddy Rick brought me this. And I'm like, what are we drinking now? And he's like, gin and juice. I'm like, it doesn't quite taste like gin and juice. He's like, I put in some Mountain Dew too. He goes, it changes the drink. And I'm like, this is really good. So apparently, who knew? Mountain Dew is like a universal
Yeah.
mixer. And I told him,
Oh,
I'm like,
interesting.
it actually makes sense. And he's like, why? I'm like, well, Mountain Dew was made for whiskey. Like that's what it was made for.
Oh, really?
And Mountain Dew is a reference to moonshine. That's what they would call moonshine,
Oh, interesting. Look at that. We get a
right?
history lesson first thing
Mhm.
today. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah. Well, when you're part hillbilly, you learn these things, right? So that's what it was made for. Or I could be totally wrong. Totally wrong. We'll have to see.
It sounds legit. It sounds actual and real. So
It
yeah.
right? It does. So I think listeners, hey, welcome back to the Kilted Balls podcast.
Hmm.
I almost forgot to say hi. Nice to see you all today. Happy Tuesday. That's when we're recording. Um, I think we have so much to talk about today, and I almost forgot. Like I was sitting there today on my way home, and I was like, "Ooh, I've got to remember this. I've got to remember this. I want to talk about this." And then like as I was getting ready to get online, I'm like, oh my gosh, and I forgot about this and I forgot about this. And there's like so much I think to talk about today.
That's awesome. I'm excited because usually we talk a little bit over the weekends and we haven't talked at all really over the past
No,
few
we've
days.
we've been kind of busy. So yeah, and we didn't
Hmm.
get online last night. So we've kind of had radio silence. So this should be interesting. So I don't know where I want to start. So I'll start here. I got my first Arrived dividend. And so some of you may not
That is
care, but
awesome.
Arrived is a company where you can buy shares of rental houses or vacation homes. So instead of trying to buy a rental or try to find a company that does it or buy stock, they let you just buy shares of the rental when they're first looking at buying it.
Yes.
And so I gave it a shot and said I'm going to buy one. I don't know when was that? Must have been July.
Yeah, I think it was this summer.
Yeah, so probably like around July, and they were like, okay. And I bought a vacation rental. I want to say in Pensacola area,
Hmm.
and they said it should have 4 to 5% return, or more. And I thought, oh, I'll give it a try. And so I just put a little bit down
Hmm.
and got in. And then the first dividends were supposed to be in January, and it came. And
That's
it's
awesome.
on track for about 5%. And I was like, okay, I like that. Um, I was kind of feeling like it was going to go well. And so I don't know, in November, I bought shares of a rental house
Hmm.
and they just changed their stuff so that they're going to do single family rentals monthly. So they'll do their dividends
Okay.
monthly. So I should know relatively soon whether that one's going. And then they've started a new thing where they're going to have a fund where rather than say, okay, they're going to go buy this house,
Yeah.
you just say, hey, I want to be part of the fund. And the fund buys like 20 or 30 houses.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Right. And so that one has monthly as well. And so I was like, oh, maybe I'll try it again. But, it's not exciting. It's not degen,
Hmm.
but 5% APR on a rental, like you're just getting that cash back. And that doesn't count like when they sell the rental or when they refinance or any of that stuff, just like a
Yeah,
normal
exactly.
rental. It's
Yeah,
just 5% yearly cash back. And I'm like, yeah, I don't mind that I put in a couple $100 and thought, it's worth trying. Which brings me to the second thing. I used my Chive account to do it. And
Okay.
listeners, you might remember a little while back, we were like, hey, I wonder if we should use a set account for our 36-step challenge. And I said, hey, we should use Chime for our 36-step challenge. And I didn't bring it in here. I'm so mad. But Chime sent me a bag and stickers and like pins and
That's
all sorts
cool.
of stuff. So I was like, yay, Chime, doing their thing. And Chime is what I use for Arrived. So
Okay.
that money, went into my Arrived account, which would go to my Chime account. So if you're interested in like electronic banking, maybe people give Chime a look. So far they're pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So those were the first two things.
Hmm.
Did you have anything that happened this weekend? Because I don't want
I
to like hog the whole
I
40
only
minutes.
have one thing and I can do it whenever. And of
Okay.
course I'll add on to yours too.
So this next one is going to take us a huge portion of the time, but it's got to lead in. So it's got to lead in
So
to get
should
to
I go
all of the big
first?
stuff.
Should I go first? Mine's
Is
quick. Mine's pretty
okay.
quick.
You do your quick one, and then I'll do mine with my lead in.
Mine's super fast. I got this in the mail.
Nice,
Anyone
nice.
following along at home, great packaging. So
That
that
looks
was really
beautiful
cool.
packaging. The Beeple V friends.
Yeah, so it's pretty sweet. Um, I'm excited to own a piece of history, really. Oh,
Yeah. So this doesn't count as a gift goat, right?
this is a gift. This
Okay.
is a gift from the gift goat. This is goat milk. This is every single of the 5,000 first days on it.
Whoa, really?
So anyone who's been paying attention or who followed along from the beginning, this is kind of what put people in the I mean not this bottle, but the 5,000 days is what he sold for 68 million early on
Yes.
in the last bull run. So yeah, it's pretty sweet. I might make it for my Infinity because it's sweet. It's got the stopper in it and everything. It's just super cool. It's
I
definitely
thought it was full
a
of like
show.
vodka or gin, but it's empty.
It doesn't have anything in it. It didn't come with anything, but it is the goat milk, and I thought it was super cool. I was super excited, and I wanted to show. And like the packaging was crazy good. I think that's one thing that they've worked on. It came in this nice box and everything,
Oh
and
my gosh. Yeah.
it's got a certificate of authenticity in there and all that. So yeah, it was pretty exciting. So that was
That
it for
is
me.
super awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
go ahead.
Well, and
The
I think
floor
that's
is
great.
yours.
You have to be pretty happy with your gift goat overall purchase.
I am actually. I mean, I wasn't expecting much. So like, the people I can understand where some people are bitter, like who bought, if you bought in at 200 grand and you're like, oh, I'm expecting 200 grand worth of stuff. Like, when I bought in, I was like, just for the looking back now, it was for the plot.
It
I
was for
wanted
the
the
plot.
experience. I wanted 18 gifts from Gary. He added the NFTs, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And they just had the snapshot for gift 13, 14, and 15. The snapshot was all earlier this last week, so we'll find out about those gifts soon. And it ends the end of April, early May, or whatever is supposed to be the end of the 3 years. So hard to believe it's been 3 years already.
It's so hard to believe. It's actually amazing. My daughter made me this hat for my birthday.
That is an amazing hat.
Isn't it awesome? I'm like, oh, I love this. And then of course it warmed up in Michigan. So like, I mean, we got a couple inches of snow, but it was like 32, 33 degrees. And so I probably won't wear a hat if it's 30 degrees, but I mean, I know that's freezing for you guys, but up here I'm just like, whatever. So,
Yeah, that
but
is
yeah,
sweet.
isn't it so cool?
Yeah, because I remember you talking about it. I hadn't seen it yet. I love it.
Yeah, woo, debuting on the podcast. So yeah, my daughter made me that hat. She's a pretty cool hat maker, right? She made one of your kids a hat once, didn't she?
Yeah,
Yeah.
think she
So
made both of them, both of the littles.
nice.
Maybe
That's
even
awesome.
Tristan. I don't remember. She's pretty awesome.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Okay, so this next one is a lead in to a really like big thing, but
Okay.
it starts with a negative. So sorry,
Uh-oh.
listeners, we're starting negative, but don't worry, we'll go positive like we always do. I wish being a DM wasn't so hard so that I could be mad at our DM.
I was going to talk about this after the show. But yeah.
Like when I got that email, they're like, "Hey, can we play tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we can play." And then they're like, "Hey, we're not going to play anymore. The attendance is too bad." And I wanted to be like, "No, I hate it." But being a DM, like, I don't know how anybody DMs, right? Like,
Yeah.
I've watched you DM, I've watched all these other people DM. It's like got to be the hardest gig ever. It's super, super sucks. So I'm always amazed that anybody DMs for more than a couple sessions.
I just on Facebook, my 4-year anniversary where we all put on our luchador masks just came up.
Yes, yes. Well, and I think it was also hard because last week I had such a great time. Like I literally got off and I was like, this is the best experience ever. Which
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean it has to go away, but it was like, oh, now we're not going to do it. Right.
Yeah.
But
Last week was awesome.
on the other hand, I'm like, I can't literally, I can't be mad about that because literally the gig is thankless and it sucks and I can't imagine anybody doing it, right? So I'm like, yeah, like yay you made it multiple sessions. Still
Mm-hmm.
makes me sad. Like I still am like, but I'm grumpy that I can't be grumpy. You know what I mean? Like I
You
want to
can't
be
be
mad.
you can't be mad at him. I had told you
No,
I
you
was
can't.
laughing.
You
I
can't
was
be mad at
laughing.
all.
I was laughing. I was like, Brian effed around. He's finding out now.
You done after around and found out,
like
eh, Ron?
like they said, you never actually said you'd be there on time.
Yeah, but in my defense, and I don't know if our buddy's going to listen to this. He should, because the whole rest of the episode's going to be about our friend, not the DM people, not the DM. But in my defense, if somebody calls you, like your boss, and is like, hey, can you come to work? And you say yes, isn't the expectation that you would be there on time? Like, if you were going to be late, you'd be like, yeah, but I'm going to be a little late because I got a thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if someone's like, hey, you want to go do this thing, and you say yes, that means you're going to do the thing. You add a qualifier if you're going to be late. Like, that's normal
For a
human.
normal person, yes,
Right.
you are exactly right. For a normal human. You've
Yes.
gotten much better, but we used to always give you like an hour heads up. Like we tell you an
Yes.
hour early.
But like in my
So
old
you'd only
age,
be half hour late.
yes. But in my old age, like I commit to those things.
Yes.
Now, which is the problem we have right now. And everybody knows it. Like you said, our luchadors were 4 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been coaching the sport for 23,
Mm-hmm.
and they're always Wednesday nights. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't choose Wednesday nights. The sport is always Wednesday night. D&D is Wednesday night. The odds of me being there or being late during December and January are very, very slim. Like,
Did we
because,
switch nights recently? We haven't always been Wednesdays, have we? Because I don't remember this coming up. Did we switch recently?
well, the reason it doesn't tend to come up is because, well, and the same things happened this time when it was an issue, say, like last year, people were sick or they had COVID or they couldn't come. So I never had to be the bad guy.
Okay.
And even this time, like I've been like, hey, it's Wednesday, I'm not going to make it. And then they're like, oh, it's okay, Dave has COVID, or oh, it's okay, this guy's
Mm-hmm.
out of town. So even now, like if it was just me, it might be like one thing. But
Yeah.
also in my defense, last week I was late. When did I get on? 8:45, 9 o'clock. We didn't start playing for another half hour. Like I was
That
on.
is true.
I'm like, we're ready to go. And like 3 times I said, how about a recap? How about we get going?
Mm-hmm.
And I mildly feel like I'm being blamed for the late start when I was on and ready to go. And people were just horse shitting around, which is, again, totally okay because that's kind of the purpose. Like the
Yeah.
D&D is fun, but the screwing around is the real, right? Like that's
Yeah.
what's fun, that togetherness, those connections, the camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
D&D is just a vessel, which is also why I don't like hold it against our DM for being like, nah, peace out. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, like, thank you so much, DM, for doing all of this. Like, it seriously blows my mind. Right.
He
And
does,
we'll find
especially because
another
he's
thing.
writing his own stuff too. He's not
Yes.
following a module, which, the module is still a ton of work. You got to read it, you got to be prepared. You don't want to railroad everybody. So you want to try to figure out, like, okay, if it goes off, like, how do you kind of keep people on to keep it the
Yeah.
story, but without going all crazy. So, yeah.
Right. Right. For sure. For sure. So, anyway, to start with, it's that. But going along with that, and I thought this was an important thing to talk about, was
Mm-hmm.
one of our friends in our group who is great is going through a rough time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which may or may not be influencing any of these decisions. I don't know. Don't care. Um, but we were talking last time, and it was almost like he had so, I don't want to say low self-esteem, but maybe that's what it is. And we spent a good bit of time last week, and you went on like a spiel slash tirade that I thought was fantastic. But it comes to a bigger thing, and I thought this like highlighted it.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to something we've talked about multiple times on our podcast. You don't know where people are in the journey, you don't
Mm-hmm.
know where they're at. And I feel that very, very often we think adults, guys and girls, and I keep wanting to
Mm-hmm.
refer to like guys, but I think we do it to everybody. We assume they are strong, confident people and that they understand their self-worth because you and I understand our self-worth,
Mm-hmm.
and none of them fucking do. Like, they don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's the more I think we learn about people, the more we see they don't understand their value and their worth, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that was the case, right? And so go on part of your spiel, like fill us in with your feels.
Yeah. I mean, it was what set me on the tirade was that this friend is going to be dating again. Unfortunately, like, just things didn't work out. And I forget the question, but the question someone else had asked is, "Oh, how are you going to do it, or what are you going to be like?" And he said, "Oh, I'm just gonna." I can't even remember exactly how he worded, but it was something to the fact that I'm going to go back into my shell and be awkward like I was when I was in college. Because I think that's
Yes.
when he met his wife in college. And but by knowing him, he was probably awkward in college. And that just, it just set me off because I'm like, you've been married to this beautiful woman for all these years. You have these kids, you have this family, like, you've done all of these things. Like, you're not that person anymore. And that's what I said. I was like, that's not you anymore. Like you've done all this. You don't have to resort back. You take steps backwards. And I don't remember exactly what I'd said, but it was pertaining to that. And like, you're awesome. He's from how I know him, which is, once a week online for a few hours, and we chat, and we've met in person once.
For 4 or 5 years,
Yes, that's what I
once
was
a
gonna say,
week
for
online.
4 or 5 years. So I feel that I know him. It's someone who I care about. I mean, all all,
Hmm.
all the guys do. And so yeah, it was just irritating that he would discount himself so much, to be like, almost like he was just giving up on love and giving up on that aspect of life.
Which it's got to be hard, right? Like you're
I
grieving.
I never thought I would date again, honestly. When I
Yeah,
was going
yeah.
through everything, and some of that, in the early episodes, I don't remember if I think I didn't try to talk about it too much, but it was still a fresh wound then.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think that's the part that's hard for us. And I find this, like I said, originally I was going to be like, people think that guys are so manly and macho, and in reality they're not, and they have all these mental issues. But then I was thinking about it, and I'm like, no, it's like everybody, it's the human species.
Hmm.
And like this is a great case study or a great example of that, where to you and I, this is a guy who more or less has all of his shit together, is fantastic human being,
Mm-hmm.
is amazingly wonderful, is cute, is awesome, is just a great guy,
Mm-hmm.
but his vision of himself is not,
Yeah.
right? And which is why you got frustrated because you're like, no, in my brain, you're amazing.
Yeah.
And you're sitting here saying how poopy and crappy you are. And the reason I'm like, everybody does this is because it's so funny. My wife does this, right? Like I am like, oh my gosh, you're like the most amazing human and you're so gorgeous and smart. And she's like, I am not. I'm like so ugly and I'm such an idiot. And I still remember like years ago, I'd be like, so many of my friends think you are like so gorgeous and you're so beautiful. And she'd be like, nobody ever says that. And I'm like, are you kidding? Are you
Mm-hmm.
kidding? Like you are. And like it was just recently, and I think I blame Instagram or TikTok, right?
Okay.
So for the good, for the good. So I'm blaming them for the good is we're sitting there and we're getting ready, I think, for church or something, right? And I am just like, man, you are gorgeous. You are just a gorgeous human being. And she is like, this reminds me of this Instagram or TikTok I saw where the lady's like, oh my gosh, look at my muffin top. And the guy's like, I don't care. She's like, look how fat I am. And he's like, I don't care. Look how stinky I am. I don't care. She goes, you guys really don't freaking care. And I'm like, all I see is beauty. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if it's
It's
about
not that
not
I don't care.
caring.
Yeah,
I go, I
it's a
just
different.
don't, I'm like, I just don't see that. Like you're just gorgeous. Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
see that other part. And it's interesting because I think that about most people. Like I see them and it takes a lot for me to look at a person and not think, oh my gosh, that's not a beautiful human being. Like I look at most people and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yes.
you're a
Yeah.
beautiful human being. Now you're a human being. So you're not great, right? Like you're
Mm-hmm.
not like me who's like super homo sapien.
Mm-hmm.
But for a human, you're pretty darn good, right?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, people, Jer knows I have like things and triggers where I'll see people and I'm like, no, you are atrocious. Someone should put you down. So don't be thinking I'm like,
Those
oh
didn't go away with old age.
no, like that. I'm not all flowers and rainbows. Like I still have things where I'm like, nope, 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 nope. So
Yeah, it's funny. And then it's like, well, what does that say about me if you're this horrible? Like, like what are you trying to say about me? Like I have bad taste?
right.
Like,
I said that once. I'm like, literally, I'm the person who gets to decide what I believe is beautiful. And so I don't lie. We all know that. So if I'm like, oh my gosh, you are gorgeous, it's got to be true in my brain, which is the same as our buddy. Like we look at him,
mm-hmm,
we're like, oh my gosh, you're like the cutest little guy who's not little at all, right?
mm-hmm,
Like you're a freaking adorable and you're like so sweet, like too sweet. Like
mm-hmm.
I would not have dated you because you're too freaking nice, right?
I could see him. I bet you he had that problem in college.
He probably did. He
Mhm.
probably did, right?
Being on that end of the spectrum for myself, it's tough. It's tough. And he's even
Well,
sweeter than me. That's saying a lot.
oh my gosh, he is so, and you are incredibly nice, right? And you know, I had a fiance once, a long time ago. My kids always think that's funny that I was engaged once, and literally, she was too nice. She was too nice for me. And I remember, like, when we broke it off and we broke up, she's like, I'm not sure I understand what's wrong. And I'm like, you are an angel. Like,
Hmm.
you are seriously like one of the nicest humans I've ever known. And she's like, why is that bad? And I'm like, I can't have an angel. Like that's not how it works, right? Like you should go find another angel to be with. I need somebody who's going to whip me into shape. I need
Hmm.
somebody who's going to tell me no,
Hmm.
right? You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah.
Like I know myself, right?
We've had that talk about about different people and
Yes.
relationships, and even when it is a strong female who's really good at that, it's hard to, at a certain age, if you're not in a relationship yet, then it comes with baggage, because this friend didn't want any baggage and anything, and we're kind of like, well, you kind of have to. You're so strong. Like, you either need to find someone really young, or someone that's, or you're gonna deal with that. Okay, no, I love you.
Look at that cutie. Hi. Could you imagine, like, now you just say that made me think that that could be what he finds, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like he could find somebody who's 25 or 26, and he's probably, if he listens, is going, oh my gosh, no, I couldn't handle somebody that young. But really, somebody that young might be perfect,
Yeah.
right? They might like fit that niche in his life and just be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Yeah,
not.
because
I
you
am not a
never know
love
where you're
person.
gonna stumble across to meet somebody too. I mean, I like the dating scene, I think would be a pain in the neck, all those apps and everything like that. But
Yeah.
you're out and about, or friends, like, I mean, that's how Gina and I met, through friends. So,
Well, and I think about
and
that
I
like
wasn't
I
expecting anything.
no. And I think about that like my daughter just turned 21, right? And
Hmm.
she's getting ready to go off into the real world. And I'm like, how is she ever going to meet somebody?
In the
Like,
lab, like a
right?
delivery
Like
guy to the
you
lab.
you make me a cool ass hat. I don't know like how you're going to meet somebody because I don't think you're going to meet a lot of people at Crochet Club. I
Yeah.
could be 100% wrong. I literally don't know
Hmm.
how many people go to Crochet Club at MSU, so I don't know.
Yeah. Did you
It
go
could be
there?
a ton.
Because I
Maybe
remember
not.
being surprised that you knew how to crochet.
Yeah, yeah. I can do lots of things.
Hmm.
As one of my nieces said the other day, she's like, I'm always surprised at all the weird things you do. You have like so many stupid talents. I'm like, I have a lot of experiences. I'm very
Uh-huh.
eclectic. I can do a lot of things. I can't knit though, listeners. So I've never learned how to knit. I think that'd be awesome. My mom knits. I think that'd be great. But yeah,
Hmm.
crocheting, not too bad, right?
Yeah.
Not too bad. Not too bad. So
But
yeah,
yeah, I
so
mean, we, obviously wish him the best, and I don't know if anything else like that comes up. I don't have a problem smacking him down again and for being silly.
right. Well, and like when people are weird about that, and so many of our friends are,
Hmm.
right? I'm like, how you're so amazing.
Hmm.
I'm like, you're amazing. How are you thinking you are not? Like, what happened to you in your life that you don't realize how amazing you are?
Hmm.
Like, so many people think that way, and I'm like, are you kidding? Are you kidding? Like,
Hmm.
it always blows my mind. And we don't see them through the lens they look in the mirror,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
right?
there's someone that I know that says the same thing, because they feel that they're a little awkward around people, and
Hmm.
they may not think that they're as good looking as they are. And it's just like, I do the same thing. I smack that person around too. Like, you're being stupid.
Yes, yes. Like people, that's the message, and that's the lesson for today.
Hmm.
You are freaking amazing. You're
Hmm.
you're amazing. Like the fact that you exist makes you amazing. Like I don't think you realize how hard it is to even exist. And so the fact that you exist is amazing. The fact that you are existing at like 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old is amazing.
The
Like
fact that you're listening to this podcast makes you amazing.
super amazing, people. Fist bump, right? You're freaking rock star. And I don't think people get that. I think they look at people like Taylor Swift and they're like, no, she's amazing. No, she's an act. She's an
Hmm.
entertainer.
Hmm.
She is amazing. Don't get me wrong. Right. But it's a thing. And you are that same thing.
Yep. Well, I mean, that's
Right.
like, it's like Gary Vee talks about this a lot. He's like, just think, the just the chances of you being a human being. Like you were the one sperm that made it to the egg. You made it through that early times. You started to multiply and divide. Well, you started to divide, not multiply. Well, yes, both.
Yes.
But yeah, then you're actually were born. You've made it to this age. Like
Not only that, but you can keep going back because your parents had to exist and had to meet
mm-hmm,
somehow. And their sperms and eggs had to meet and come together
mm-hmm,
somehow. Like the fact that you exist is mind boggling amazing, people. It's mind boggling amazing. The pure chances that would have screwed you up. I'll take it even like a really dark one because I remember my buddies that, in the past, we were talking about like miscarriages because nobody ever talks about miscarriages.
mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's such a weird thing. Like, nobody does. And they're like, do you know people who've had them? I'm like, so many. I go, it's like something like 25% of first pregnancies are miscarriages.
Wow.
Like 1 in 4 of your first. And if you miscarry the first, the odds of you doing the next one are something like 40 or 50%, right? So
I don't know
the
this.
odds that you're going to miscarry is huge, which means most women, with kids probably miscarried at some point on time, but nobody talks about it. Like it's this
Yeah.
super quiet, scary, shy thing. And so then when a woman miscarries, they think it's this crazy, sad, big thing, which don't get me wrong, people, it is
Mm-hmm.
crazy, sad, big thing, but they don't realize that there's another billion people who've gone through that same experience and can
Yes.
relate to you and can feel that with you. And you think you're all alone with that,
Mm-hmm.
but you made it through that,
Yeah.
right? The fact that all of it happened to get you here listening to our podcast is stupid amazing, which means, buddy, hopefully you're listening to the episode now, not the beginning. You can skip that.
Mm-hmm.
You're freaking amazing. And your
Mm-hmm.
curly hair is amazing. You're like Bob Ross.
Just have awesome curly hair.
Oh my gosh. So awesome. So awesome, right?
And I mean, I possibly to to come to his defense, maybe some of that is still the shock of everything. But other things have come up where he's made comments not not putting himself on the highest pedestal. So
Well,
it
and we have
triggered.
another friend we play with who does the same thing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All the time. And like I'm with him all the time, and he's always like, oh yeah, I'm never very good at this, and oh, I'm not good at this, and I probably ruin everything. I'm like, shut up, Eeyore. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we love you. You're fantastic. You're amazing at all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Stop pretending you aren't amazing. You're amazing,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like always like, you are. You are,
All these
right?
traumatic childhood experiences. Like
Well, I think,
you're not that 14-year-old anymore. Like whatever
no.
happened, whatever, made you think that you weren't amazing.
I always imagine it's because they compare themselves to us and we are like uber amazing. And so then it's hard. You can't compare yourself to other people.
No.
That's the actual negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you try to hold yourself up to someone else, it's never going to work. It's never going to work. And so obviously I'm teasing about saying you're
Mm-hmm.
comparing yourself to me. But in reality, that is because when you say, "Oh, I'm not worthy," you're saying that because you're comparing yourself with something that is worthy in your mind.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you have made a comparison of yourself to that and found yourself wanting.
Mm-hmm.
And in reality, everybody's in their own spot of the journey. You can't compare yourself to another human.
Yeah. I mean, because even a great example, us, we've known each other for a super long time.
Super long.
Probably know more secrets about each other than anyone else besides significant others.
Probably even
And
more than them.
there's still a lot that you don't know about. Like there's a lot that I don't know about you. There's a lot that you don't know about me. And there's no way, like even at our level, that I could say, oh, Brian is here, or Brian, just to put you someplace. to be able to compare myself to you. There's no way.
Right.
So
You
most of,
you literally can't.
no. And there's people who like see someone on TV or maybe know someone a little bit and they're trying to compare, like, oh, that person drives a flashy car. I want that flashy car. They must have a great life, and they hate their life and they hate
Oh
their,
my gosh.
you know.
Well, and what was it recently? What was it? I found something out about my wife, or she's found out something about me, and I was like, how did we not know those things, right?
Yeah.
And we've been together forever, right?
Yeah.
Forever. And like, how would that happen? Like, how could that? What was it? I can't remember. Something slipped through
That's
the cracks.
awesome.
I talked about it. I can't remember what it was. I'm gonna have to like re-listen to an episode to figure out what it was. But it was like, how did we
Yeah.
not know that about each other?
Oh, that's
That's
awesome. I don't
weird.
remember. I don't remember that.
I
But
don't
you can
either.
see we've cleaned up a little bit in the back. See that right there?
Yeah, you can see we are less cleaned up.
Yeah. That is Gina put up her massage table.
Oh,
So
did you get a
that's
massage?
what that is. Not yet. I haven't been feeling
No.
good.
Oh, you poor baby.
I thought it was my allergies because I didn't take my allergy pill for 2 days, and then I was playing D&D yesterday. And as soon as I walked into the house, my eyes went and my nose started
Oh,
running. But it went over to today, and I've taken my allergy pill, so
will probably
I
take a
may
little
have
bit.
gotten. Yeah, but
It
yeah,
might
we're
take a little
getting.
bit. Yeah, I thought there was something I was gonna say, and I can't remember what it was.
Must have been
I
a
don't
lie.
know. Must have been a lie. Must have been a lie. Well, we should probably kind of like wrap it up. I think we hit the main parts, people. I
Mm-hmm.
think we hit the main parts. Don't compare yourself. Understand that you're amazing,
Mm-hmm. Those are
right?
both pretty important.
Those are pretty important things. And know that Kilton and I, we love you. We love all of
Yes.
you, right? All you SOBs. So it's
It's
just the
funny.
way.
I think about this, and I'm glad we talked about this because I was thinking. So when we leave Wednesdays, we all say we love each other because we do, and
Yeah.
it's very manly thing to say. But
Hmm.
it's funny, I don't ever say that to you, and I'm like, I wonder if Brian ever feels bad. But I'm like, Brian knows that I love him, like on a deep level, and I don't say it to Jamie. And I'm like, he's got to know that. But I feel I should at least every now and then. If I'm
I
saying
would
it to these
say
other friends every single week, I love you,
I
Val.
I, I am, thank you. I love you too. I think it's I like it when it's not said all the time. I
Okay.
feel it's deeper. I
Okay.
feel when people are saying it all the time that they're saying it to remind themselves that it's okay to say it.
Oh, I guess that can be a thing.
Right. Like, and so that's
That's
again,
funny.
everybody's different spots in their journey. So, like, when people are like, hey, I love you guys, I love you guys, I'm like, I think you're just saying that for yourself so that you feel better about yourself, which is okay, people. You do
Mhm.
you. I don't because I'm like, like
Yeah.
my actions and feelings should pervade. What's the
Yes.
word? They should like saturate the airwaves with my feels.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but maybe not.
Because you
Um,
definitely know the love is what's that word? I ruined it. Never mind. My brain stopped.
well, we are going to
Conditional.
end here.
Conditional.
Yes,
Because of your
love is
time.
conditional because you might not run a D&D campaign and then fuck you, I'm not loving you anymore. So, all right, people, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you got something out of this episode. And this is Ballbuster signing off.
Kill the Dragon Jarrett. Love you all.